Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. Wait, that's my YouTube intro, that doesn't work. Hello everyone and welcome to how to participate in a hackathon. So there's going to be a final exam review session and for CP 104 for all first years, December 3rd at 7 p.m. Mark that down guys, mark that down. And then we have our sign-in QR code. So without further ado, let's get started. What actually is a hackathon? Contrary to what I first thought during my younger years, it's not actually a hacking marathon. It is a competition where individuals create and build something in a relatively short period of time. Computer science style hackathons are similar to your average hackathon. They run for about 36 hours, typically starting over a weekend. You start with coding, then there are various events like food and seminars and workshops throughout as well. And then at the end of the 36-hour mark, there is usually something to be submitted. Either submit your presentation, or you can submit an essay or a pitch or your project or your prototype. And yeah, that marks it. So take it away, Will.
Yeah, sorry, we had a little slow on getting the sign up code up. So anybody who's on, just make sure you sign up on this QR code right here, and we'll get started. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about why you guys should be participating in a hackathon. So there's a lot of good reasons, but I'm going to narrow it down to about three big ones. So first is you're going to gain a lot of experience and practice in technologies and just working in a tech space, especially in a very hectic one like a hackathon. Um, you're also gonna meet a lot of new people. You're gonna make some friends. It's also just gonna be really good for networking and meeting industry professionals. If there's sponsorships at this hackathon, they'll be putting on workshops. You can learn a lot of new things. So, um, and lastly, you're gonna make something, which is always fun. It might not be anything notable, but you're gonna make something, and it's gonna be fun. And you're just gonna get some practice in doing stuff, which is going to be really helpful down the line when it comes to getting jobs. And then you can use the material that you made at this and use it to sell yourself for a job. So those are some of the main reasons why you guys should be participating in a hackathon. Another reason, which I hadn't written here, is, but I kind of mentioned that, is it's fun. You're hanging out with people. It's 36 hours. It might be really tiring, but it's going to be a fun experience that you're going to remember. So um, those are the reasons why you guys should participate in a hackathon.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So after you figure out the whys and you plot it in your calendar and a hackathon is coming up, you're like, hold up, what is the process of a hackathon? So the process of a hackathon is a five-staged event. You have the introduction, you have workshops, brainstorming sessions, development, and finally your pitch or your project or your submission. So the introduction is the first event. It serves as a way for the participating companies and the organizers to state the problem statement. So the aim here is to make sure you understand the problem and to make sure the your idea light bulb is working at full throttle. You want to get an idea after another, and you write this all down in a big notepad. And yeah, so next we have workshops. So some hackathons will have workshops during the time given to determine a solution for the problem statement. This usually depends on the participating companies and the organizers. So different companies will have different workshops that are dedicated to their coding languages, their methodologies, their products, or their way of thinking. In these workshops, you can learn about a whole plethora of things. You can learn about idea generation techniques, coding tips, reviewing certain programming languages such as Java or C Sharp or Python. And from there, you can usually utilize all of these skills to come up with a wonderful project. After the introduction, participants have to come up with an idea to solve the problem and to determine how to implement it so you can present it to the judges. That's kind of the main point. You want to have a project at the end to solve the problem. After the introduction, during the implementation or the development session, participants will have to build a prototype of the presented solution, create a presentation, or create a pitch, or create an essay, depending on what you have to submit, or a prototype. And then you have to present your solution via a video or a live presentation. So, of course, this depends on the requirements of your selected hackathon. Each hackathon can have different requirements depending on the problem. Some hackathons may require a business model as well. So you have to come up with a pitch or a idea. So take it away, Will.
All right, so what are some strategies that you can use at a hackathon? So you've come up with your idea or you've come up with a solution for the problem that you guys have been given. You've gotten your group together, you've figured all this stuff out. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is use the KISS method. And what's the KISS method? It's keep it simple, stupid. It's don't go for thinking you're going to build the next big Facebook or the next Instagram or the next Twitch or the next open source big thing because it might not happen. So go in level headed, come up with a relatively simple idea that you realistically think that you and this group of others can accomplish in the 36 hours. So once you've got your idea and you got it simple, make sure you split up the work. All right. You don't want to be doing all the work, and neither does anybody else in your group. So make sure everybody's got a good idea of what you're making, and then make sure everybody's got a good idea of what they're specifically doing in your project. Another thing is don't make your idea, don't say, hey, here's the idea, now let's finish it. Make sure you break it up. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and there's a lot of stuff that you have to do from starting the project and ending it. So make sure you split up that process into a lot of little bite-sized pieces. So, and then every time you take one of those and finish it, everything kind of gets better. It looks more complete, and everybody's going to have a better idea of what's going on. Whereas if you just have start, end, it's going to be really hard to figure out, hey, where are we? What's next? So slow it down, make sure everybody's got a good idea of what's going on, and make sure you set attainable goals. And they're small attainable goals that you can do every hour, every half hour, and just make sure you kind of chip away at them and get them done over time. Another thing is if anybody in the group or you are having problems with your code or whatever you're making, don't sit and try to brute force it for an hour because you don't have a lot of time. And if you waste a lot of time trying to get this one specific problem solved, it might hurt you. So if you're having trouble, for starters, don't be worried of reaching out to anybody in your group because they might have some advice or they might have dealt with something like this before and they'll know how to fix it. And if you are having problems, also take a break, maybe work on something else, go walk around for a bit, make sure you and then come back with a level head, because I'm sure we all know that if you're having a problem, if you just come back a little bit after, you might see a new solution that you didn't see before. And yeah, just make sure, lastly, that your whole group's communicating with each other, because you don't want someone working on one thing and then another person working on what they think is their thing when it's actually colliding with each other. So make sure you're having sit downs with everybody in your group, make sure everybody's understanding what they're doing and how it works with everybody else, and make sure you check up constantly, because you don't want it to come down to the end and for everybody to be freaking out because you've missed certain parts because no one thought they had to do it. So those are just some of the strategies you can use in a hackathon that'll kind of make it a more enjoyable experience and not freak you out. So moving on.
Yep, these are definitely some great tips. So you have your big notepad of ideas that we discussed earlier, and you're thinking of adding more ideas, adding more features, and making this a little bit more fledged. So when coming up with these extra ideas, it's always great to look in the media. Don't go on YouTube trending page or Instagram though; they waste a lot of time. You're supposed to look for tech sites to see what the current issues are in tech and to see if you can come up with a possible solution that implements it. You're looking at trending subjects or trending topics. So in the past, we had the mining craze. Everyone wanted to create a blockchain product or a blockchain service or an app that utilizes some of these ideas. Now we have bots and there is minings or apps or different things. So you want to look at these trending things because first of all, they can give you more ideas. They can be more informative, and people will like trending stuff. If you have a project that has trending stuff, people usually love this. So make a list of anything that you're interested in at the moment or something that you would like to learn more about. However, a very important tip here is to make sure that you're building on a solid foundation. So you're going to utilize all the skills that you know, and then you're going to utilize a little bit more few skills. from the ones that you're learning. You have only 36 hours, so you can't spend the majority of your time learning something completely new that you have no idea what it is. So these things could be like bots or games or website, as I mentioned previously. Also, think of things that you're not interested in or not comfortable doing. I hate, for example, let's say databases. I don't want to have a project where there's like a gigantic database, or it depends on these aspects or features. I'm just gonna like leave that away to like the database people. I'll do something fun. I'll do something different. Um, then over the team brainstorming session, it's very helpful to define the areas where most of the interest lies. So, as a group, you can come together. You're like, what? We love this. We hate this. We love this. We hate this. Swipe right, swipe left. And that's how it goes. You're trying to build some features over the things that are most interesting to the entirety of the group. And, leave the things that are not. Lastly, go through some of the previous hackathon documentation and to see what the criteria is like and to see what the winning project was. Try to look for the defining features. What made this project stand out? Why did the judges, love this product? What was the main critique of the product? And how can you make yours better? And how can you implement features and ideas from these previous projects and from these previous winning prototypes to make your project stand up, just one step ahead of the game? You'll be surprised to see that sometimes simple is better. Sometimes not the most complicated or not the most fully fledged prototype is what wins. The simplest things that solve the solution with little problems is usually the one that wins. So take it away, Will.
All right. So you've come up with your idea, and now you have 32, 34, some amount of hours left to come make this idea a reality. So, first thing you're going to want to do is allocate the work to everybody in your team. So, what does that look like? Well, first, what's going to happen is you're going to make sure you split everything up in your project, make sure what's everything you need to do to get from the start to the end. And then you're going to look at all those and say, okay, who's better at this skill or who's better at that, or who do we think could learn this quicker. So for instance, if someone's much better with graphical interfaces, then you're obviously going to give them all the work that kind of best revolves around their kind of mass skill set. Whereas with someone's better with more boilerplate and back end code, you make sure to give them all that kind of work. So you don't want to be putting anybody in deep water that they're not super comfortable in. You want to make sure everybody in your group's playing to their strengths. So, and if there's a piece of code or a solution that you don't think anybody's very confident in, make sure you kind of go at that as a team or trade it off every now and again. Make sure that not one person's stuck with the kind of crummy job. Make sure everybody's kind of working together to lift the whole team up. So, um, after you've split up the work and everybody's kind of doing their thing and it's all going well, make sure to regroup often and make sure to hold everyone in your group accountable. So if you hold everybody accountable and they hold you accountable, it's just going to be a better time. So you keep track on, make sure not like make sure you don't overreach and make sure you're worried about your own stuff first, but also make sure that everybody in the group is doing what they're supposed to do and you're doing what you're supposed to do, so you don't have much crossover, because then you're just doing twice as much work on one thing that only needs one person working on it. So make sure you're communicating and checking in with everybody. Now, if there's a task that you're unsure about, yeah, don't be a hero. Don't pound your head into the table trying to figure out how to solve it. Make sure you, go to those communicate with your group, figure out if anybody else has done something like this, and just make sure that everybody's doing a solid amount of work and no one's taking a free ride. All right. All right. So next up, Amit's going to talk about how you find teammates.
You want to assemble your team of hackathon Avengers, but you have no idea where to start. You're in luck. You can either find a team through the Hackathon's host organization or search for your own team. Most hosts will run a plethora of networking events at the start of the hackathon for individuals to meet other participants and to see whether they would like to form an alliance or a team together. If you choose to search for your own team, you should ask friends or classmates and other people who are attending that you already know to see whether or not they would like to be interested. In addition, thank you. Moved away from the presentation. Oh yeah, sorry about that. In addition, most hackathons will have a Find a group channel where you can post and find members. Finally, you can also post in the LCS Discord. Ask its 2,400 members if anyone would like to team up. In the LCS Discord, you will never walk alone. One tip you should always keep in mind when finding any teammates is choosing individuals with diverse skill sets, because it will make allocating work easier and you will receive a lot of ideas from different backgrounds and from different ways of thinking. You don't want to end up fitting square pegs into round holes. That's not going to take you anywhere. Yeah, so next we're going to be talking about how to sell your product to the judges.
All right, so you've come up with your idea, you've worked the past 32 hours to make it a reality, and now you have to present it to the judges. So obviously you're going to be tired, you might be a little sleep deprived, but we don't want to hold that against you. Everybody else is going to be in the same boat. So firstly, I suggest that make sure you plan to finish up your code earlier than you think you need to, because you want to spend that last little bit polishing and making sure everything works. And then also some hackathons might want a video or a presentation or a paper to go with it. So make sure you just read all the requirements from the hackathon so that you can meet them. But after that, key thing is just sell yourself. So smile, look them in the eyes, and clearly explain what the problem is and how you solved it. And if it wasn't as much a technical one, it was more of a business one, make sure you do even more work of clearly explaining how your solution goes about solving the specific problem in mind. So most CS hackathons will have actual showing your code portions, but there are other hackathons too. There are business hackathons, there are more hands-on hackathons. So depending on what you might attend, just make sure you read the guidelines and best figure out how you want to present what you guys did to the judges. Yeah, moving on, we got time management tips.
Yeah. So as we already said, we want you to channel your inner salesman and wear your best suit and swear it is your way. Next, time management. There are 4 main ideas in time management. You want to be thorough with your planning. You know what I mean when it says write that down? That's exactly what you need to be doing around the clock. Writing down all the ideas, writing down all the responsibilities, and trying to have an expected time frame. Okay, this portion of the code will take me 2 to 3 hours. The other portion is like 3 to 4 hours. And so you should also have some downtime and you should also have scheduled breaks. So you know what? From this time to this time, I'm off. No thinking, no hackathon, no nothing. Go do some other things. Yeah, this is very important to make sure that you're staying, in your outline and you're not staying too far away, and you have enough time to implement all of your features. The worst thing to have, when presenting your prototype, is to have a non-functioning feature right there on stage. That's really hard to kind of cover up and stuff. The second important tip is don't hesitate to delegate tasks. If someone is highly talented and he has already finished up, or she has already finished up all of their goals and all of their requirements and they're free, you can always assign them to do other projects, and you can assign really hard or really core features of your prototype to be done collectively in a team with all the team members present to make things faster and to speed up the process. The third important step is to learn when to settle. So a couple of slides ago, Will talked about how you should not always make things very complicated. You should stick to simple stuff, but this is really, really important. As we said previously, it's only 36 hours. You don't have a lot of time to, reinvent the wheel. Okay, you're not expected to copy something or do something as advanced as a Google search bar, or do something really complicated. You're supposed to be doing something simple that just helps solve the problem with, of course, some creativity and some thinking outside the box. So try to learn when to settle. This is too complicated, I'm swiping left, no way, go away. Finally, make an effort to effectively manage time. This is going to of course be a lengthy process. Is going to require a lot of energy on your part. It's going to require a lot of planning and a lot of thinking and a lot of meetings. Hey bro, where you at? I'm here. We need more time. We're going to take this away. We're going to divide the time from this and take that there. It's going to require effort. So be, I guess, mindful that it's going to require some work from your part as well. So next, we're going to be doing stress management with my boy Will.
Yeah, so dealing with stress. You're at a hackathon, you're with a group of other people, you're with them for a long time, and you're all working on the same thing. So you don't want to be at each other's throats because that's just going to make everything less fun. You didn't want to come there to make people that you weren't going to like. You were going to wanted to go there to meet people, to make friends, and build something awesome. So don't make unrealistic goals. I think we touched on this, but yeah, KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't do anything bigger than it needs to be. Simplicity is the goal. Um, Nextly, drink lots of water. You don't want to be distracted with the code too much and end up just kind of forgetting to do this. Just keep drinking water. And with that, another like thing keep in mind to stay healthy with this is take periodic breaks from your screen. We all know we're all computer science students. We've all been stuck at home for the past 2 years doing school online. Um, you don't want to be staring at a screen for 10 hours in a row. We want to be uh, taking breaks, walking around, looking at things that aren't screens because it can really damage your eyesight and just make you feel really gross and nasty after a while. Um, yeah, so make sure you plan for the breaks as well. Don't just start thinking that you're gonna have exactly 32 hours. Budget enough time to take breaks, maybe take a nap because you're gonna code better if you're not sleep deprived. So make sure you plan for these things. Remember that a hackathon is for fun, creating, and learning. So if something is kind of making it less enjoyable than you think it should be, talk to your team, maybe see if there's a way you can work around it, come up with a different solution, kind of damage limitation. Like if something is making you feel bad, don't force yourself to keep doing it. Make sure you tell this to your team and come up with a different idea or move on because at the end of the day, you want to be having fun. Um, Lastly, yeah, don't make sure you're trying to enjoy everybody's company. Don't find things to be annoyed about, find things to be happy about. Or I always look on the bright side of life. And I think with all these tips, if you take it into a hackathon, you'll come out having a lot more fun than if you would not using these tips. All right, next we're going to be talking about some of the prominent questions that have already been asked in the chat, so it's actually really convenient. So I think Ahmed's going to be talking about those ones.
Yep. So one of the most commonly asked questions is how good of a programmer do I need to be to join a hackathon or to participate? The answer to this is highly debated. Um, the answer is that your programming language can range from very limited to very extensive. The idea here is think of it as a balance per se. So someone is very heavy on the technical side, but is not very heavy on or she's not very heavy on the designing side or the DevOps side or project management side. There is always different things that you can contribute to the final project. Someone might be just there for ideas or to just cheer the team dynamic. Not everyone has to be very in tune with the coding side of things. People from all programming languages can join, since there are often workshops that teach you various aspects of programming, from OS development to virtual reality. If you have no programming experience, you can also take on a non-programming role, as I said earlier. So you can be a designer or a project project manager or a QA tester, and these different roles. To prepare yourself before a hackathon, make sure to research the hackathon topic beforehand in order to have a basis before diving into a more extensive coding position. So on to Will.
Yeah, I'm gonna tag on to this as well. Hackathons can be a really daunting idea. You're there for 36 hours. You're gonna have to make a whole product in that time, and if you don't have a lot of coding experience, it might not be super fun looking from the outside. But just keep in mind that hackathons do have a lot of non-coding things that either teams will need help with or that you can just go and learn. You don't have to go there to build something. You can go and enjoy the workshops and enjoy all the other things that it has to provide. It doesn't have to always be about code. And if you are not an experienced programmer, just be nice and talk with groups. I'm sure someone's going to try and people will want some help. And if you can just provide as much help as you can in other places that you're good, then you will also learn how to code, and it's going to be a really good experience for learning. So you don't need a bunch, but just a little bit will help. And you don't, and there's even stuff that doesn't involve coding at hackathons that can be really fun to do, to go and do. So yeah. Now we're going to talk about where can you find a hackathon, and to come and tell us about this, we have our LCS club co-president Nosher. So he's going to come talk about some of the hackathon stuff.
Hello, that is me. Thanks for the intro, Will. Hope everybody can hear me properly-ish. But yeah, basically, how can you find out about hackathons? So there's a couple big ways you can find out about them. The two biggest ones is MLH. So MLH is a worldwide organization which stands for Major League Hacking. And they have a website, which is pretty simple to go to, mlh.io. And there you can find a bunch of different hackathons for different regions. So like Europe, North America, Asia, Africa, every single region has a bunch of hackathons you can apply to. And there is like tons and tons of hackathons. There's like a hackathon every weekend or every other weekend. So like whenever you're free, you can hop on the website, look for a hackathon that interests you. Some of them have themes, some of them don't. Some of them have big prize pools, some of them don't. There's a lot of different things you can look through. And the thing with MLH hackathons is that you can trust that they'll be good because they're verified by MLH. So that's cool. And yeah, the second place is DevPost. So DevPost is another website where a lot of hackathons usually get you to submit stuff. And there's also a place on DevPost where you can just look for available hackathons that you can sign up for. It's like MLH but way more open. There's no like entry board. Like anyone can basically apply to be a hackathon on there. So there is a lot more variety you can find there. But then there might be a lot of hackathons that aren't the greatest. There's too. So, but you have a greater selection to choose from there too. And then the last hackathon thing that we'll talk about is HawkHacks. So, me alongside a lot of other people on the LCS team and other people who aren't here, are starting a yearly hackathon at Laurier called HawkHacks. Which is scheduled to be sometime in May, either May 1st or May 8th or somewhere around there. And during the event, you'll hear lots of chatter about a lot of advertisements from different clubs and stuff. But it's a really good hackathon to go to. It'll be hybrid too, so it'll be in person, and it'll also be online if you don't want to come in person. And there'll be a bunch of networking events, a bunch of stuff you can grab, and a bunch of things you can do. And it'll be a great time for everybody. It'll be a 36-hour overnight hackathon. So if you're interested in that, you could head over to thank you, Yana. The link is in the chat for hawkhacks.ca. There's a timer on the website which needs to be updated currently, but you can sign up for the newsletter there and keep up to date with what HawkHacks is doing and how what our plans are for stuff. But yeah, that's a bit for me about that. Over to you guys again.
Yeah, so make sure to fill out the survey on how you guys thought the hackathon went. Also, if you're just joining us now, make sure to either go on our type form, or there's a link somewhere in there for our sign up sheet. So just to make us know that you came. But yeah, if you got a chance, fill this out. And I think Ahmed's got some closing remarks, everybody.
Yep. So before I do my outro, if you haven't been closely listening to this presentation so far, I want you to take away two main things. Don't be a meme, know your team, and don't be a fool, know your tools. So these are the two most important things we've been talking about this entire presentation. Your tools, or your programming language, or your knowledge, or what you're going to be doing in the hackathon, and your team. These are your most important aspects. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Oh, that's also the ending to my YouTube channel. All the habits die hard, I guess. Thank you very much for attending. Please remember to fill out the post-event survey. Let us know where we done goofed. It's been your host, Ahmed and Will. And yeah, we're on to the questions in the chat.
Yeah, don't leave just yet, because we're not over. We have Donner and Nosher, who are seasoned hackathon veterans. They've got some stories they could tell you. So yeah, throw your questions in the chat, and I'm sure they'll answer them.
There's a couple that were thrown in the chat earlier that I will address on the actual stream. So one of them was, are hackathons in person, which is a good question. Before COVID, all hackathons were in person. No one having a virtual hackathon was very uncommon, but now those are the norm. But there is hackathons now that are in person that you can go to. There are hackathons that are hybrid that have either a small component in person or a small component online, and then the other segments are all in person or like vice versa. And those are also available. And then there's still hackathons that are just like virtual. So you can find hackathons that are in person. Depends where you live, honestly. It's a bit harder to find them in some places compared to others, but there's definitely some in-person hackathons that you can attend.
You'll definitely find them if you look for them.
Yeah, usually the websites tell you what they are. There's another question in the chat. How do we make groups?
I know, for example, that some places will have specific events like workshops for finding groups if you've come by yourself or with a small group of people. So they might throw on a Kahoot or some other stuff, and it'll help you find people. I think, at a lot of large hackathons, they'll have specific events to help people find clubs. And also, just if you're having trouble, if they don't have any of those, just be kind, be friendly, and I'm sure some people would need some help in a group, so they'll take you under their wing. So yeah, just be polite, and I'm sure people will bring you in.
Some hackathons usually also always use Discord servers to communicate with their audience, and those Discord servers usually have an LFG or looking for a group channel where you can advertise yourself and your skill set, and someone usually DMs you, letting you know that they want you to join the team. So that's another way too. If you don't want to do any events or go to trivia nights or something, that's another option.
Mm-hmm. And if
Also,
you did have
yeah, go ahead, Will.
Oh no, you can go.
Yeah, so feel free to reach out to people, PM people, just go up to people, go up to groups, try to initiate a conversation. And even if they don't have a spot for you, they might know some other group that is looking for a person. So yeah, just reach out to others, and I'm sure you'll find a place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah.
And if you do have trouble finding a group, there's a ton of other things you can do by yourself, whether it's networking sessions or the workshops, where you can still have a lot of good takeaways from the event.
Yeah, like you can also just, like, before the hackathon even starts, just ask your circle of people. See, even people who are non-techie might want to try their hand. So it doesn't always have to. You don't have to always ask the computer science students that you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other
I
than
think
that,
there was also, we did cover hackathons beginner friendly. Yeah, they'll have a bunch of learning that you can do, and the problem that you have to solve is only as big as you make it. So if there's a group with a bunch of really experienced programmers, they'll probably go a very complicated route, but there's nothing stopping you from picking either a simple problem to solve or a simple solution to the problem that you've been given. So it's as hard as you're going to make it for yourself.
other than that, I think those are all the questions from the chat.
And yeah, if you have any more questions, throw them in chat. I have a good question that someone should ask. It's, what was Nosher's favorite hackathon project that he did? Someone should ask that.
Karaoke bot.
Sorry. Should I just tell the story about Karaoke Bot?
I think it's pretty neat. Yeah.
All right. So back in this was Hack the North. This is Hack the North plus 2020. So it was like the delayed hackathon because of COVID. But basically, me, Danner, and two other friends from different universities made a Discord bot that you can do karaoke with. So you give the song link from YouTube to the bot. The bot will play the music for you in the call, and you can sing along with it, and it'll record you. And then once you're done singing, it'll analyze your singing with some very basic ML and give you an output of how lyrically correct you were and how correct your pitch was as well. And it was a very cool idea. We got it to very basically work. We didn't finish it, and personally, me and another person in the group wanted to work on it after the hackathon, but we haven't had the time yet. But it is a really cool project, and it was really fun to work on. I think how did we think of it, Dana? Do you remember?
Well, for me, it was like the most exciting thing because that was the first hackathon I ever been to, right? And just like learning, dude, every single thing was like hacked together really quickly. Like we found some random ass like speech recognition library online that we imported. We found like a random lyric analyzer online and all that kind of stuff. So it was fun, like seeing what can be done in such a short amount of time, especially like with all these resources available. All you guys have to do is look, right? And at the end, I think we were pretty proud of it. Like from
We
could
still
still
get
keep
comments now about it, like on
Yeah.
the dev post
Yeah.
page. I got a comment like a couple of weeks ago asking like, "How's the progress?" And I was like, "We don't have any, but thanks for asking."
Yeah,
the-
and
oh sorry.
oh no, you go.
I was at the very start of the hackathon. We probably spent like 2-3 hours trying to come up with the project idea. So we had even less time than like what we should have had, and we still like came out with something that we could actually present. You know, I think that's what
We
we
got
were
an honorable
most happy
mention, I
about.
think.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, a little flex, a little karaoke flex. But, yeah,
But like at the end of the day, you guys had fun though. So
Yeah, that
definitely,
was great.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, we
And, like-
we all forgot to wake up for the final presentation. The one buddy who had his alarm set, he didn't have his alarm set actually. He accidentally woke up because we had told him that we were gonna do it or something, and he realized no one was awake, so then he had to do the presentation on his own. But that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And a good takeaway from that is if you're in a position where you don't think your code's very polished or you don't think it's going to work so well, I think everybody else is going to be in the same boat. Nothing is going to be in 100% state of completion or 100% working. It's all about kind of what can you get done in the 36 hours.
Oh,
And a lot
yeah,
of the
it's
time
all
it is
duct
pretty
tape.
impressive.
It's all duct tape together.
Yeah. The core
Duct
of a
tape and
hackathon-
prayers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it, and hope.
The code equivalent, basically, because
Mhm.
our project was also made in 2 different languages.
Oh, man. Oh,
and which is
flashbacks.
not for anybody who doesn't know, is a very bad idea to make one piece of software in 2 different languages. We transferred data with a text file from one language to the other. It was really bad, but we were sleep deprived
Ew.
and weren't thinking properly. So yeah, but
I
it
pretty
worked.
much took it that weekend.
Yeah,
to
but
say
you
that.
learn mistakes and stuff. You learn how you could have done better. You also learn how good you are coming up with ideas and how earlier you should start. Yeah.
And if you're not really into coding all that much and you just want to do, I've been to some other hackathons, similar things that weren't specifically coding. They were very hands-on. I remember one I went to was it was all Lego, and you had to build things to solve certain problems, and it was pretty neat. So yeah, if you're not big into coding or you're just trying to find other stuff, be on the lookout, and I'm sure you'll find some other interesting stuff as well.
Worst comes to worst, you only go for the food. Food's pretty good, so you
Food
know.
and merch, yeah.
Food and merch. Yeah, you get the
Food, merch,
free
yeah,
T-shirts, free
workshop,
stickers. The stickers are always great. MLH always gets nice stickers, so they're always good
LinkedIn
quality.
followers.
LinkedIn followers.
A hackathon is basically a hackathon is basically like a computer science festival if you think about it. There's lots of people from diverse backgrounds. You know, you can find a group of people to talk about your hobbies and interests and stuff. So you should always just go ahead and join the fun.
Yeah, just
Definitely.
sign up and just chat with people. It's always a good time.
There's a place for everyone, right? There's business students that go to them. There's UI, UX, arts. There's all kinds of different facets of, people,
Yeah,
like people
exactly.
skills coming onto it. You don't have to, just like as Will and Ahmed mentioned earlier, you don't have to be the most technically savvy person. There's a fit for you in every team. If you're more of like creating the slideshows and like creating the speeches and all that kind of stuff, there's a place for you there. If you like UI, UX and the design elements of everything, say you're building a website, there's a place for you there. So don't be afraid to just go out of your comfort. You know what I mean?
I'll throw a link to the karaoke bot so everyone can see how bad the code was. But there you go. If anyone's interested.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions in chat? Give it a minute. Any other fun hackathon stories, you guys?
Oh god, the first hackathon, one of the early hackathons. Actually, Donna, do you have any stories before I go on mine?
No, other than the really hacked together Notion clone that we made.
Your team for
That was
our
fun.
U-Hacks?
Yeah, for our U-Hacks.
Yeah.
So I think it was in May, me and a group of friends, we decided to make a Notion clone. And the way we like made it different from Notion is it's kind of like a study guide, not a guide, a study tool. So for example, say you're taking notes in the online world, right, where there's like lecture videos on YouTube and stuff. Pretty much you can take clones while having the YouTube player embedded in it, so you can like watch and take notes at the same time. We thought it was a pretty cool idea. We got to a point where everything was working, except it didn't allow us to change the video that was playing. So for a test one, we played the Rickroll video, and we pretty much Rickrolled ourselves because we couldn't get it to change. But everything else worked. It was all like cloud. It worked with Google Firebase, so all your notes were stored online. You didn't have to like download anything and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
I also remember checking up in that call every now and then and asking you guys how you guys were doing.
Yeah, it's amazing having a on-demand technical support whenever you need it. We just called up Nasher and he helped us out with any bugs we were facing and stuff.
I mean, other than only being able to play Rickroll, it kind of sounds like it actually would be helpful.
Yeah, it was a cool idea. We made it all minimalist too. Like there was like nothing glaring. Like it was just a very clean, minimal, right? Like Word doc pretty much.
If you want the link to try it out right now, here you go.
I don't think it's even up.
It
I think
is.
just a GitHub.
It is. It works. There you go.
Oh shit.
I have a funny story, by the way, for hackathons. So a while back, I'm in high school. This was in December in 2019, right before the pandemic. Was the last event I attended. So some background. I'm a health sciences student. I know nothing about coding. I'm more of like, hardware and stuff, build PCs, build stuff, nothing, no coding. So I walk into the venue, there's lots of people. There's lots of people like furiously typing at their keyboards, lots of mechanical keyboards and stuff. I look around and I see everyone is so busy doing something, and then I found a couple of people sitting around. So I joined them and they're like doing this gigantic project and they're having a full-fledged debate on, we should do this using Python, and others guys like, no, it's C# all the way. And I'm just sitting there doing nothing. And then for the final project, all I did was, I worked on the presentations, I worked on the slides, and I did some like basic graphics, I guess. So that was like the story indeed.
That's good.
Exactly. That goes to show that it doesn't matter what like background you're from. Everybody has a place in hackathon. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Definitely give it a try. Go out of your way, and you won't regret it. I promise you, you won't. Even like for example, the Are You Hacks one. It was so last minute. I actually found out about the hackathon the day of, and I was like, honestly, I'm not doing anything this weekend. Let's just go and do it. And we had a project come out of it. So.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for a specific hackathon to join or go to,
Hawkhacks.
Hawkhacks. Yeah.
Hawkhacks, May something.
May 2022.
Hawkhacks.ca. Subscribe to the newsletter, and you'll get some more info on what's coming up. And there'll be good food and some cool prizes too. So, but I think.
And it'll be on the campus as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's no questions, I think that's everything that we have to offer tonight.
A couple more minutes of awkward silence, and then we'll call it a day. Don't
forget to fill out the survey and/or sign in if you haven't already.
Yeah.
And they'll all be on our chat right there.
Thank you very much for joining, everybody. You've been a great crowd. Yeah, sign in, fill out the surveys and stuff.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for coming out, guys.
Thank
Good
you.
night.